Hello, salutations, what it do? It's the Dr. Gamer back at you with another video. And today I wanted to talk about something that I haven't seen too many videos about, but I know for a fact as a Marvel's Avengers player, every one of us has dealt with this at one point or another. And that is, of course, the AI companions, specifically the fact that they are really stupid. Now, I can't do anything about that. Crystal Dynamics has said they're going to make some AI improvements in the future. I know months back they added the ping system, so at the very least, you can make your teammates somewhat useful by having them break down doors if your characters can't. Outside of that, they're largely very useless in combat specifically. But while I can't do anything about the fact that they are really dumb, I can make them very useful in combat to the point where you can literally, as you're probably watching right now, sit back, do nothing, and they will clear the enemies out for you because they are just that strong. So before we get into it, make sure you smash that like button. It helps the YouTube algorithm know that you think I belong on this platform and makes me feel better about myself. And make sure you hit that subscribe button and check the icon so you never miss a video. I started this week literally with 17 subscribers, and now I'm nearly 200 at the time of recording this video, and that's all thanks to you guys. You've been going absolutely crazy. I really appreciate it. So keep supporting the channel. I'm on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and I know we can get there. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So the key with having AI teammates that actually are useful in combat is how you build them. Now, I know what most players do when they assemble their team is that they just slap together whatever characters they want to complement their main characters. Sometimes you might think, okay, well, they have this useful heroic, so I'll have them on that can be useful. And they don't really put much thought into it outside of that. And the problem with that is most of us build our characters with us playing in mind. We don't think about how they'd play out if the AI companion was controlling them. And the problem with that is the AI companion will absolutely not control them the way a human person would by utilizing all the cool perks and stuff you took time putting into the abilities. So what you have to do instead to make your teammates useful to you in combat is you have to spec them out with their AI tendencies in mind. What are those AI tendencies? Well, pretty much they default to melee. They like to get up and close and punch. They'll occasionally, rotate through they'll do their heroics, they'll rotate through some moves, but usually they, unlike a normal player, they won't, spam the best combination and optimal combination of moves. They'll just kind of go through all the different stuff. And, that's usually annoying if they're not optimized for that. And what happens is they'll just pretty much be completely worthless and you'll have to go in and do all the work yourself. So to change that, you have to pick your team and make sure that you build them not just with gear in mind, but also with the skill tree to complement your character. Now, when I'm playing, I'm a Hawkeye main right now. I like to almost exclusively pair him with Thor, Hulk, and Black Widow. And I'll switch out Black Widow every once in a while with Kamala. And only Captain America, but only because I really like his outfits. But it's usually Widow or Kamala with Thor and Hulk. And I'm gonna walk you through how I spec their builds out to be completely complementary for what I'm doing, especially for my playstyle. And this can pretty much work for any character you play. You can mix and match your favorite hero, but the point is that you want to make sure you keep in mind their role when you're not using them is support. So you have to build them accordingly. Now, just to get this out the way, I do have every single one of these heroes at level 150. I recognize that about myself. I am a tryhard, and you don't have to do that if you don't want. I would recommend, though, getting at least 2 support characters, ideally 3 to 150, and that way they'll at least be maxed out. Even 140 or 130 would help a lot. The stronger their power level, the more useful they will actually be, because even though the game scales them up to the level that you're currently playing at, it is a noticeable difference if you're doing 150 power missions with 80 power support characters. They're just, even with this scaling, they're not going to be as useful. That's just how it is. So first, let's get into how I built my Hawk for support. So as you see, I have a high melee rating, pretty decent defense rating, and okay heroic rating. This is because when I usually play the Hawk, I play him with Ring of Nebulon, and my heroic rating is usually hovering around 4,000. That's because the best way to play the Hawk, in my opinion, especially when you're playing solo, is to drop your Bone Shaker, do your Thunderclap, kill everyone in the room, collect the heroic orbs, rinse and repeat. And because the AI is stupid and they can't collect heroic orbs, even if they were smart enough to do this, that's not going to help me. Especially since on that build, I sacrifice melee for heroics because I don't need to punch anything when I can just thunderclap them. The AI will not be able to thunderclap, every single second like I would without a constant supply of heroic orbs. So they're going to be punching a lot. So you want to make sure your melee is up there. Now, you don't have to copy the gear setup that I have for the Hulk, especially since, I have, 3 exotics on them right now. The most important thing is the stat distribution, which is primarily melee with a high enough willpower so that, specifically resolve so that he has a decent amount of health to work with. It goes well with his natural armor. And yeah, just spec it out with might. So you want your red ISOs with might in the minor artifact spot. I'm not sure if this actually makes a difference, but I just put on the major artifact that I know will actually work with the current build, and that is the Tacticon. Ring of Nebulon is completely useless on an AI companion, so I have this. And the rest, if you have these pieces, it's fine, but make sure the main important thing is you want resolve and might on as many gear pieces as possible so that his melee rating increases. Now, the real important thing is the skills. You want to make sure the skills, specifically the heroics, are going to be the best for what you're doing. So don't have to do too much here. You got Bone Shaker, which naturally draws enemies away with taunt, which is awesome. Hulk does that, so you don't really have to do anything. So, but this is useful. Defeated enemies who are taunted by Bone Shaker drop heroic orbs. That's good for you. You can take advantage of that. And I just left it on defeat 5 enemies when Bone Shaker is active, extends its duration by 5 seconds, because none of these other ones really do anything else. And I like to keep this up because as long as Bone Shaker is active, Hulk will be drawing people away from me, which is good. And the assault doesn't matter much, but I do make sure that I have, I actually have a exploit on here where a Hulk causes a gamma cloud to drop. Where is it? Yeah, irradiate destruction. Yeah, I can I would recommend this one. And let me change this back to ground 0. So I was using them earlier. Yeah, you want ground. I like ground 0 because it creates this radiated zone of gamma, and that goes well with my status build for Hawkeye. If you don't have a status build, that's fine, but it's still useful because while you're standing in the gamma cloud that Hulk creates with this thunderclap, you gain willpower. So even if you don't have a status effect character like I do with Hawkeye, having this is still very useful. Moving on to a different character, we have Black Widow, and you're seeing a pattern. For Widow, I have her melee and heroic rating pretty high. That's because the AI companion is going to do a lot of punching, and to make sure that they actually do something, I have the melee rating really high. Black Widow has very good melee, and I have a decent heroic rating because her ultimate is going to be really good for that. And once again, you don't have to copy the gear. If you have it, that's fine. The most important thing is you want to make sure her melee rating is very high. So look for might and make sure that she has enough resolve to not be super squishy. If ideally I'd even have a little bit more resolve, but it's fine. Skills though, you want to make sure that her skills are optimized. So in the skill tree, I have her with lightning fist because launching an enemy across the map is very useful, and it goes well with the melee gear, as well as being able to stun, because if she's stunning enemies, I can get takedowns easier, which means I get more heroic orbs. And for heroics, I have increases the duration of Veil of Shadows by 3 seconds and increase crit chance by 25%, and increase the duration that teammates remain invisible by 5 seconds. So having that for her support heroic is very useful, and that's why I like having Black Widow on the team. And the rest, the mastery tree is a pretty self-explanatory. Just make sure that you can just copy it like I have it right here. I basically just make sure that I spec her out for melee instead of range, which is how I play Widow when I'm using her. But melee is also pretty cool, but I like the melee for my AI companion. And let's move on to Thor, who I used to main. Once again, Thor, same deal. Melee, resolve, valor. Thor's main utility is not just melee, but the fact that he can use his God Blast and Bifrost to do a lot of damage to a lot of enemies in a room. That's very useful, especially when it gets really crowded. You want to have a hero on your team that can just get everyone out the way in one blast. So that's why I have Thor and Hawk on the team. It's very useful to have them like that. And once again, you don't have to copy the gear, especially since I do have, exotic here, but you do want to basically follow the build trend, which is basically Valor, Might, and some Resolve. And you see here, I have, for the ISOs, I have Might here, and I have Might plus Resolve because I want to make sure he's not too squishy, because I don't want my AI companion going down all the time. And skills don't matter too much. His main support is Warrior's Fury, so you just want to make sure that it is properly optimized to boost you and not itself. And that's what I have here. So as you see, I get a temporary damage boost of 25% when I'm affected by Warrior's Fury, and I get the increased critical attack damage of 25% and an increase of 10% critical attack chance, which is pretty good. The rest, just make sure he's just killing stuff. For the God Blast, obviously Cryo is the best for clearing the room, so make sure you have that checked off. Bifrost doesn't matter too much. The main utility of having Thor on your team is the Cryo God Blast, and of course the Warrior's Fury. Moving on to Kamala, to wrap this up, she's useful once again mainly as a melee fighter. Make sure you also have a resolve up, of course. And as you see, I mainly make sure I expect her for might and resolve because I like her punching things. She's good at that. But the main reason you want Kamala on your team is this right here, her support heroic, which heals everyone. You see teammate willpower fully restored when activating Healing Spirit, and grants additional charge of Healing Spirit. You can also alternatively use increases Inner Peace, which increases the duration of Healing Spirit's residual effect by 8%, which is awesome. But either one of these work pretty well. It can come especially in handy, on a Tachyon Rift mission, or just any other time. Maybe if you're someone that has trouble and your health is down, it's good to have Kamala there, because she'll swoop in often at the right moment to give you a big healing boost, and because she usually does that once you get down to a certain amount of health. So that's useful. I don't have that issue because I use Hawkeye, and I usually don't have any problems in that regard because Hawkeye can heal himself. But for other characters, you might want to have Kamala on your team to give you that extra boost of healing if the character you're maining doesn't have healing themselves. Okay, there you have it. That's pretty much it. So as you see, I usually go with these three, and they get the job done. I can clear rooms by myself, but it definitely helps to have AI companions that can draw away enemy aggro and beat up enemies before I even get over there. So that's going to do it. Once again, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I have a stream coming up for Marvel's Avengers on a Monday at 2 p.m. You can see the reminder is on the channel. So if you want to join me, check it out. I'll be showcasing Hawkeye some more. I got some new gear, and he's much better than the version that you saw in the initial build video. So I'm excited to show you that. So that's it for now. I'm Sadat the Gamer. See you next time.